Would you say that lack exists in the world, or that it only exists as a mental form created by the separate self? What do you mean by the world? I don't, if you mean world by this entire creation, then no. But when the person is experiencing lack, then that gets projected onto the whole entire world, because in a way, when you're looking through a human instrument, all you see is the human instrument. So if you're looking at the window and you feel lack, if you really go into it, then the window is lack, the wall is lack, everything is lack. But out there, I mean, is there really an out there? We just know this experience, and we know that it gets colored by the human, by the body-mind mechanism. You could also say there is no body-mind mechanism, so you could say that if there is lack, then it's the whole world experiencing lack. But I give you lots of answers because in the end, it's all semantics, and I don't think there is like a pointed answer like this is right, because I could totally agree with it being a projection of the body-mind, and then I could see that it's the opposite. It's like when there is lack, everything is lack. Yeah. Is that because when you feel lack, you wonder if it's like the world doing it to you as a character? Like lack for security in the future, for example. No job, money, etc. Oh, I see. So, yeah, that's seemingly in the world, but it's also in you. I mean, yeah, we're kind of like speaking between different levels, which makes it confusing. But yeah, if you've got no money, then it's seemingly something that you have to get from out there. If you've got no food. Yeah, but yeah, so it's seemingly out there that there is lack. And so you have lack of food. But remember, that is our interpretation of the situation. So to a dog, if there was a starving dog in Thailand, say, on the beach, it would be begging for food and it would have hunger, but it wouldn't have any idea about lack. It would also be connected to itself, so it also feels deeply free in what it is, but the body would become very desperate. But it doesn't think, I'm a lackful dog, I have lack. In a way, it would just be everything is hunger for the dog. So in a way, like, it is a story that we tell ourselves, but we tell ourselves that story so we can then think, okay, we've got a lack of food, how can we fix this? There's not enough food, how can we fix this? I wonder if you're coming to this question from something like Course in Miracles or Law of Attraction, where if you've got no food, they would say then it's all your mind. It's because in your mind you don't feel worthy of it. Which, yeah, in a way, like, and in a way not. Like, sometimes it can just be, that's the luck of it, like there's a drought or there's a fire and the food is gone, and then there is lack of food and the person dies. But also equally there can be that sense of lack in the person, which leads itself to very lackful situations when it's in a prosperous situation, because it doesn't feel good enough or worthy. So there could be lots of food out there, but because it doesn't feel worthy, it kind of like self-sabotages itself. But there's also, you know, it can just happen, like a meteorite could come down and hit the planet and there's no food left because everything dies. and then the humans eat all their reserves and then they starve to death. I don't think that's necessarily a mentality of lack, it's just what happens. Could be though. I mean, everything is mysterious, we don't really know. It could be that our thoughts are producing everything. I'm more balanced in these things, like I'm not too extreme, although to a lot of people I seem very extreme, but in the mix of it I'm not very extreme. But this is a human question, so this isn't really about the absolute or about who you are. It's about the human question, like how do I make my human happier? How do I have more food? How do I have more money? How do I become more prosperous? So it's about how you become happier, which isn't the absolute. The absolute is talking about that which is beyond the person and doesn't need anything, doesn't need to live, doesn't need food, doesn't want it. It just is awake and free and love. I feel a bit like I can't be fully here now because I'm responsible for this body well-being in the future. Yeah, and so that is an idea. So there is a you that feels like it can put attention into being conscious, into being in this moment, and it feels like it can't be in this moment because it's got to do all these things for the future. So these are all ideas inside you, and the whole time consciousness is there. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying don't practice trying to be present. I feel like that's a healthy thing for the human to do, but that's all in the personal story, and the whole time there is awakeness. There is this empty looking that is no thing and all things, or you could say there is life. If you replace consciousness with life, there is life. It's free, it's here. And that's the absolute, and that awakening is the end of suffering. When that energetically shifts and expands, then there is the end of seeking. It doesn't mean the body doesn't look for food and for security in the future, but it's not your freedom. Your freedom is always this moment. It's so unlikable for the person. It's so like, what does that give me? Nothing. It gives you nothing. The person always wants to talk about itself and what it feels and trying to do a spiritual practice. But yet there is something that's awake here now, and it doesn't give you anything. It does shift the person after there is that recognition or realization or awakenings, but it doesn't give you anything. It doesn't fix your life. It will change the person, so it will most probably improve the life. But it's not something it's going to give you. So you have an idea of someone that's trying to be here now and putting practice in that. And that's beautiful, but the whole time that's happening, there is this empty looking. Here. Here. Does that make sense? Most probably not. Yeah, thanks for your question, Jackie. Please feel free to write more. Okay, so what does Jackie say? I just do this down. I kind of feel like I have to trust that everything will be fine if I'm not here or something. Maybe this will be reckless. Yeah, I think there's confusion between levels, Jackie. So the human job is to look after, like the personal awareness is to look after the body so it doesn't self-destruct and walk in front of a lorry or truck, if you're American. Yeah, so that person feels like it needs to teach itself it will be okay in order to get to that big consciousness. But the big consciousness is here. I think that having more trust in your life is very healthy for the person, and relaxing more into your flow and letting life happen more. But part of being a human is having this personal awareness and this apparent choice. So you believing that you need to trust more in order to let go, I feel like that's a story that you're telling yourself. For me, it would be more just relaxing in to that seeking energy, that discomfort. Doesn't mean don't act. It doesn't mean don't do something, but just relaxing more into that fear of your survival. Like that is a feeling that arises, but it's not truth. It's not your truth. And just allowing that to be present. And yeah, telling yourself to trust more and, giving yourself positive energy and everything is beautiful. But just notice how the person is believing that it's its job to disappear in some way. The consciousness is here. It doesn't need an action. It doesn't need a behavior, it's here. There is consciousness, right? There is this empty looking. It's absolutely free. And that's not instructing you on how to live, although I would advise you to do things which are, healing to the person, relaxing to the person, expansive to the person. But the person is always going to play, and the person, part of its job is to look out for its survival. The idea that you've got to give up reins, in one way it is like there is a part of you that surrenders and lets God act you, but it's not like you're imagining it. Like in every moment there is just God moving, God speaking. But there's still this personal awareness that thinks, oh, did I put the dinner on? The kids are coming around at like 6 p.m. and I have to have the dinner ready. Those types of things. But what else is here? There is this expansiveness that's beyond that. And then as that's recognized more, then life flows from nothing. So those thoughts about putting the dinner on for 6 flow from nothing. The thoughts about getting a job or doing a job flow from nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay, thanks Jackie. But you still feel free to write more if you have more.